Hi everybody, so I know the title of this video it's a little bit on the ridiculous side because these are very, very different games. Although on the surface they may look a little bit similar, but this video is really just about starting a conversation. So if you're interested in one of these games and you've seen the gameplay, you think, I'd like to learn more, would this be a game for me? Is it worth me investing my money and my time in? Then maybe I can help you towards answering that. First up, probably the least obvious one is if you've played Hell Let Loose and you've never played Battlefield, then of course you should check it out. The gameplay in this video is Battlefield 5, which is World War 2 as well, but I'd definitely recommend Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 as well, and whatever one is out when you actually watch this video. Battlefield is mostly based around objective-based gameplay. It tends to be less linear than Hell Let Loose, so it's not just backwards and forwards. It tends to be around a map in Conquest, but they do have the linear game modes with the likes of Operations and with Frontlines as well. Battlefield has a massive player base, which can be an advantage when trying to find games. It has big maps, maybe not as big as Hell Let Loose, but they're still pretty big. It has lots and lots of different maps. Importantly for me anyway, and lots of other people, it has really good controller support. It has fast, twitchy shooting, but there's plenty of space for snipers and people using scopes. Battlefield, well, in the existing games, there's no limits on what class you can play as. You can see enemies relatively easy compared to Hell Let Loose. Battlefield 5 is trickier than Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4. You don't have to talk to anybody. You won't get banned or kicked out for not being in chat. And in Battlefield, you have the concept of combined arms. So it's not just about infantry. It's about infantry and tanks and aircraft and sometimes ships and other vehicles as well, which is very exciting. Which leads to what we would call battlefield moments, where these cinematic clashes between enemies happen, and it's really cool. The games in Battlefield tend to be much shorter. You get much faster respawn, so you're getting into the action much faster. It can be really exciting. Positioning is still really important in Battlefield, but not as important as Hell Let Loose. But of course, it's more of an arcade experience. But it is, however, a lot more serious than Call of Duty. But I think most of the people who are watching this video, you already play Battlefield and you're interested in what type of game Hell Let Loose is. Will you like it? Is it going to be fun? And as I said before, is it worth investing the time and the money? Okay, so at the moment, Hell Let Loose is PC only. And now I play it through NVIDIA's game streaming service, GeForce Now. So unfortunately, there's no controller official support. You can kind of set it up with an Xbox controller through USB, so you can kind of use the controls, but because there's no aim assist and you can't adjust the sensitivity, you're better off playing with mouse and keyboard. And I would consider Hell Let Loose a battle simulator. Hell Let Loose is a really serious game that is incredibly difficult and often frustrating to play, and I think it's really important that you understand that before you start investing your money and, more importantly, your time in learning this very, very complicated tactical first-person shooter. So let's kind of discuss the bad points. Let's discuss what will happen and what will start to put you off when you start playing Hell Let Loose, because forewarned is forearmed. So to start off with, you'll have to search through several servers to find one that's almost full. But, it's got an empty spot so that you can have a go, but you'll still get the full Hell Let Loose experience. But chances are it's going to be a server where people aren't speaking English. So you're going to be in a server where everybody's speaking German, which is quite interesting when you're playing a World War II game and you're playing as the Germans. You might find it difficult to get into a squad. So you'll try and get into squads because you've got to get into a squad, and they'll say no. And when you finally do get into squad, you might not be able to play the role you want to play. So you might want to play like an assault player with an automatic gun, but you won't. You'd have to play like as a rifleman with a bolt-action rifle. And it's like, ugh, because you can only have so many of each type in each squad. You'll then have the squad leader trying to give you some orders, but you'll be wondering, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And then you'll look at the map and you'll think, oh my gosh, I've got a 2-minute run to get to where the action is. And when you finally get to where the action is, you'll just get killed. And you won't have a clue about who killed you, what direction they killed you from, what they killed you with, or anything like that. So you'll be like, oh. So then you'll have to wait an inordinate amount of time to respawn, sometimes well over 30 seconds. So you sit there looking at the map and going, humdy, 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 hum. And then you'll spawn in, and then you'll have this 2-minute run again to get back into the action. This time, though, when you get close to the enemy, you'll start crawling through the undergrowth and through the cover, and you'll peek towards where the enemy should be, on the enemy strong point. And you'll be thinking, where are they? I can't see them. You'll see loads of gunfire. You'll see all your teammates firing towards something, and you won't see anything. And you think, oh, sod it. So you get your gun out and you fire it a few times in the general direction of where the enemy are, and then you'll be dead again. You'll be insta-killed before you even seen anybody. So the next time you'll be running in and you're thinking, right, okay, I'm gonna be a bit more clever now. I'm gonna flank a little bit. I'm not just gonna run straight towards the enemy. I'm gonna spend another 5 minutes going around the edge. Maybe that's where your teammates are going, your squad mates are going, so you're following them, and you'll see some enemies running across a field in the distance. So you'll think, great. So you bring your gun up and you fire a few times. Maybe you'll hit them. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you thought you saw someone fall, but they could well have just been diving down behind cover, and you don't know if you really killed them. So you think, oh, okay. Then you'll see someone running across a field, and you'll go, oh, here we go. And you get set up, and you'll blat them, and you'll miss a couple of times, then you'll hit them, you'll see them go down, and you go, yes, I've killed someone. And then you realise it was friendly fire, and you've just murdered one of your own retreating teammates. And if you're lucky, you won't get kicked out and get banned. And then the game will seem to go on forever. The front line will be moving backwards and forwards a little bit. Everybody will be running towards the strong points. There'll be artillery barrages coming in. And as I say, a classic thing that happens is you'll start spending your time just crawling along, peeking out, looking for cover, spending a lot of time just to get yourself what you think is a good position so you could flank, and then you'll hear the whistle of an artillery shell, bang, you're dead. And you'll spawn in again, and you're like, oh, here we go again, let's start running towards the objective. So listening to all this, you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, this sounds terrible. Why bother playing Hell Let Loose? Why are you even making videos about it? Well, the answer is simple. Immersion. In Hell Let Loose, you actually feel like you're in a World War II battle. You're in Saving Private Ryan, you're in Band of Brothers, you're in The Longest Day, The Battle of the Bulge, A Bridge Too Far, or any of those other classic World War II films. The battlefields are actually based on real places and look fantastic. The soldiers, the tanks and the aircraft, they all look great and they add to the immersion. Probably one of the big things that adds to the immersion is the soundscape. The sound of this game is amazing, from the crackle of small arms fire, the roar of the planes overhead, and the rumble of tanks as they move towards the front line. Put your headphones on, turn them up, and you're there. And I kind of mentioned it before, like a little bit disparagingly, but then there's the squad play. If you get into a group with players who know what they're doing and they're patient with new players as well, they'll suck you right into the fight, because they'll be putting down markers about where you should be going. They'll be saying, right, there's enemy over there. And they'll say things like, you get some good officers who say, right, just fire towards my mark. Don't worry about hitting it, but just keep firing in that direction so that you're suppressing them. And they'll be saying, right, when someone respawns in, can they respawn in as a support? And they'll tell you what to do. They say, well, because I need you to drop down this, I need you to build this. I need a rifleman to go up here. And they'll be building respawn points as well, so that you can spawn in closer to the action, closer to the fight, so that you don't have these big long runs backwards and forwards. All of this, though, would probably mean nothing if there wasn't the occasional adrenaline-filled, and let's call these a Hell Let Loose moment. And often, they don't look much to the outsider, but are amazing experiences for the player. So I had one in the gameplay that you're watching, the Hell Let Loose gameplay you're watching that's mixed in with the other game. And basically what happened was, after crawling across an open field, probably for 5 minutes, I managed to flank an enemy strong point, so I was to one side. And as I peeked over the rise that was next to the road, I could see the heads of the enemies as they were running towards the strong point to reinforce it. And I literally took a deep breath, and I sort of aimed down sight, and started firing at the enemies, their heads as they're going along. And, I was definitely killing them because I'd hear the odd ping of a helmet coming off and I'd see them falling down. And I'd use all my bullets and then I'd crawl back, reload, move to a slightly different position, crawl back up. They're still running along. Because remember, they don't know where they're being shot at. They can hear, but if you're dead, there's not much you can do when you're dead. So I was bang, bang, killing some more of them. And I was like, oh, only the adrenaline's pumping. I was like, oh, wow, this is going really well. And then, then I got killed. But I probably, going off my stats at the end of the game, probably killed 5 or 6 players in that one engage. In fact, I know I did because my kill streaks, it tells you kill streaks at the end, was 6 players. So I probably killed 6 players in a row. And although that engagement might have been insignificant in the whole scheme of things, it felt brilliant. I was there in Foy, in the Battle of the Bulge, crawling through the snow, trying to stay alive and actually managing to do something to achieve the objective. So that's what's special about Hell Let Loose, that in-depth immersion. This game isn't for everybody. It's going to be too frustrating for most people, too slow. But if you look at the gameplay and you think you'd be interested in an amazing World War II, and I'm going to call it an experience because it's almost like that, because yes, it is a shooter, and you're meant to go around shooting at people, and you can drive tanks, and you can fire artillery guns, and you can play as a medic, and you can do all this stuff, but it's the experience of being there. Grab a copy of Hell Let Loose on Steam when it goes cheap, and even if, like me, you don't have a gaming rig, you don't have a gaming PC, Hell Let Loose plays pretty well through the streaming service GeForce Now on an old laptop or PC, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about this game and having more experiences with it and seeing how it develops as the developers put more and more maps and features into the game, and and make it even more amazing than it is at the moment. Anyway, that's enough from me. What do you think? If you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe if you want to see more of the same. Hit like as well, and I'll see you again soon.